Okay, greetings and welcome. This is Vibrational Guidance Over Truth. So excited to have you here with us. In this reading, I'm starting off by simply clearing my energy. In full transparency, all tarot and oracle card readers, aspects of our life come out through the cards, and our interpretation of the cards is also based on our experiences with people from particular backgrounds and signs. And so, what I am taking the time to do in these next series of videos is simply pull two cards from each deck and speak to my life experience about these cards, of course, taking full accountability of my role in each of these situations. And potentially you will find a connection or similar experiences, or we can connect in terms of what I chose to do in a matter and how you would have performed, behaved, spoken, thought, contrived somehow a different way of being in that situation. Okay, so let's clear the energy. And honoring time, I have the hourglass flipped, so hopefully will be less than 30 minutes. But if you're here looking for a particular sign, symbol, synchronicity, maybe one of the words, letters, colors, numbers, terms that comes out will speak to you. All right. First card is courage. Second card is countryside. Right, deck number 2. So looking at the courage card, it says on it bravery, adventure, fatal, and brilliant. And I am a very courageous person. I see myself as being extremely brave, willing to do what needs to be done, especially in the past, for the greater good of others. I do love adventure, the idea of going out, traveling with a compass, learning how to sail the seas by night with just the use of stars and a telescope. I would love to learn how to do that. I do comprehend that being courageous can produce fatal outcomes. Again, sometimes we've seen in movies where they've told people don't be a hero. And then the next term on this card is brilliant. Not praising myself at all, but I do work to create systems in my life where they function well for myself and others, if I have to be considerate of others. So 2 C's are out. We have the other C card is countryside. And I never really saw myself as a person in the past who wanted to do life in the countryside, but now, yes, far away from people, seclusion, just trusted few community members. Yes, most definitely. It says aquaculture. I'm interested in aquaculture, learning how to grow plants with, I think it's hydroponics. I could be saying that wrong, but with the towers that you can buy, I know I've seen them on Amazon, and grow your leafy greens or various other crops potentially with it. Irrigation, harvesting, and rent is what it says. All right, so we got a story coming out here. We also have the influencer and reader card for our character. And then for truth, there is addiction and sing. I'm curious about this sing card. From the shamanic healing, it says psychic development at the top card and letting go on the bottom. And then for our roles, we have cowboy and gold digger. All right, from the feral psychic, we have blessed by fire and avoiding pain. All right, last two decks. We're going to do tarot. So, are there any of the terms that I've stated that you connect with? Do you perceive yourself to be an influencer? Do you have or have overcome or are dealing with an addiction? Do you enjoy to sing or hum? Musically inclined? I'm not so much. Do you enjoy reading? I myself love books. How about cowboy? Are you in Texas? I'm in the United States, so Texas pops to mind. Gold digger. I am from a state where women, particularly African American women, are blanketedly characterized as being a gold digger, though I possess none of those opportunistic, greedy, selfish tendencies myself. I don't even pay to get my eyebrows, hair, nails, feet done like women do. Is this upside down? No, it's not upside down. Okay, no, it's not upside down. Woo. But those two, I think I know what it wants me to speak to. And I thought about that last night once I concluded the first, I guess you could call it part one reading. But here we go. I'm going to get some numbers for us. All right, there's the 6, 1, 1, 1. That's spectacular. Okay, there's a 2. And then there is a 3. So 1, 1, 1. Have any of you seen 111, 111 recently? And then there is a 2 and a 3, so 23, which can be a 5, and then we have a 6. 33 also. And then let me go ahead and get some letters pushing in what's up on the outside, whatever spills out we take. Shuffling what's down at the bottom in the middle. And then I'm going back down to the bottom in the middle and pulling out some letters. Okay, R, ooh, reader. We have S out here. Okay. M is here. On its side is the U and the F. I'm going to take the U, smuff. On its side is the R and the I. I'm going to take the R. Well, I could have taken the I, but I said R first, and that was what my intention was. All right, let's see, 3 Ks. Okay, KK. 3 Ks came out in another reading. All right, so many on their side. That's so interesting to me. All right, so another K on its side and a P. I'm going to take another K. So maybe even organizations, groups. We have the L card out. All right. There is another M. And 3 on their sides is the G. Oopsies, I dropped it. Here we go. It's a G and a T. So G and T. And I know the gold digger is out. There's a D here. All right. There is also on its side a V and an E. I'm going to take the E. I don't know why I thought about delve, D-E-L-V, for delving into something. And then it's the Q or the J. And I know I'm more inclined to want to take the J, but I'm going to put this Q up here because I'm thinking of quick. All right, so not rushing, but telling my story. Maybe you connect with some aspect of this storyline. So let's see what I'm supposed to share about myself. So, being a courageous person, yes, in the past, I experienced with my family growing up a house fire, and it was more so an apartment fire. And the apartment complex had, of course, several big buildings that were next to each other, multifamily homes, residences. And in this particular situation, it was I believe, a Sunday morning. And the first apartment building in the complex was the one that caught fire. And of course, people are going because we are smelling smoke from the other buildings, going in to make sure everybody's awake, everyone has gotten out, calling the fire department and expecting them to be on their way. Well, time goes by and the fire catches from the first building to the second separate building. They're not connected at all whatsoever. And the fire department is still not there. And of course, now going in, making sure everyone in the second building actually came out, consoling them because things are engulfed in flames. And it's like, wow, like the fire department should be here by now. What is going on? And then the third building caught fire. And again, caught, not physically connected at all whatsoever. And our building where my family was residing at the time was the next one. And of course, the fire department was right down the road, interestingly. And some people even got in their cars and went down to the fire station when the second building got caught and the fire department had not come, unbeknownst to them that the third building had caught fire, and was like, hey, we've been calling, why haven't you all come? And those individuals were actually told, you all are not in our jurisdiction. It's a different fire department, even though they were literally just a 5-minute drive down the street behind a grocery store. They were like, we're not coming because y'all are not in our jurisdiction. We're not dispatched to come put out any fires at that location. And unfortunately, then the fourth building, which was the building that I and my family resided in, caught fire. In that moment, I was courageous because seeing what was happening to building 1, building 2, and building 3, hearing when the residents who went while building 2 was on fire, hearing what they had told or shared that the fire station chief and I guess firefighters had told them, made me feel like if ours goes up too, I have to be really willing to do something. And what I did was, while the third one was on fire, I actually went back into the apartment and I started getting things that were important, getting laptops. And my family members at the time were so much in the days like, oh no, they're definitely going to be here, who the ones that are supposed to come, they're definitely going to be here in time. And I'm asking them, if I can get anything for you from the apartment, what would you have me go in and get? And things like birth certificate, social security card, files from the file cabinet, those things start to be said. And even though the smoke was already there, I went in and out of the building several times getting things that were important. And unfortunately, we also lost our home as well. So that's a moment that pops up in terms of having the courage to just, we got to swallow this truth that is before us. It should not be. Could they have helped anyway? Yes. Are they choosing to not? Yes. Do what you can to come out of this situation a little bit better. So that's the first card with courage. The next one is influencer. I have never seen myself as an influencer, but here I am on social media, on YouTube, with a tarot channel. And I just first was exposed to tarot in 2023. I think bought my first deck also in, what was that? Last summer, I think, was when I bought my first deck. So 2025. And being a trendsetter, definitely not setting out to set a trend. Reading the energy in the past readings, whatever comes out. Content creator, I am creating content for you all, just mainly general energy reads. I don't ask for specific sign information, for money, for love. Whatever comes out, that is what I will relay. And followers. That honestly in the past has been a reason for slowing down with video and content making. Also, the school year, I've shared on previous videos that I am a teacher. And so when the school year began last year, when I first created this YouTube channel, I did slow down. And another reason why I felt comfortable to slow down is I was hoping for quickly getting monetized, watching all these videos on how to, and none of that fell through. So I just let that go. But now it's a point of, it's not about the followers, it's a comment closed community, anyways. It always will be, but it's more so about having the opportunity to share the messages that I am here to share, that my energy receives and is open to receiving, and being a conduit for putting out for a source. As it pertains to addiction, drug, alcohol, obsession, and toxic attachments is what it says. So I want to make sure I show you the influencer card if you wanted to see that. And the next one is this addiction card. I come from a family or folks who suffer from addictions. Alcohol is the main thing. I don't know if you want to consider, and again, I'm going to find this out with YouTube as far as the rules go, because this is an adult content only YouTube channel. So I'm hoping I can say things directly and not get flagged with it being an only adult channel. But if weed or smoking green is considered an addiction, that has happened more so in the background of the family. But a lot of smoking cigarettes, a lot of drinking alcohol, and I would even feel safe to say that sex was an addiction or is an addiction, an affliction that people from my familial, or that I'm told are my family's background, that they suffer from. I also myself found in college the tendency to be around people who were suffering from addictions. And for me, more so, it was toxic attachments. The need to be needed is what I coined it as my junior, sophomore year of undergrad, is desiring to be that helper, that supporter. And when that was not the case, feeling without a purpose, feeling not connected. And then that turned into alcohol. And I'm told that my parental figure, or I guess you would say father, suffers from a particular type of alcohol, not vodka, not tequila. Tequila was my favorite personally. I couldn't stand vodka. Um, what else do we have? Gin, and there are so many other different things. But alcohol was what I turned to as my vice to help me cope with the difficulties of the collegiate experience. Leaving college, and of course, having some life experiences, is when I let go of all of that. It was always easy to let go of toxic attachments. Like if I wasn't around people who let that be what strongly influenced what they choose to engage with in order to cope with their everyday life, I was fine without it. And when I left all of it behind. No more smoking, no more alcohol, had no toxic attachments, like literally stopped texting in the group chat, all that stuff. But then when I met my significant other, he had all of those addictions. The drug one, always spending huge sums of money on making sure he had his recreational smoking, I wanted to say apparatuses, but items. And then also paying for things like black and mild wines, and then also having beer. And then in the background, again, I disclosed this in the last video, potentially also a sexual fetish or whatever you may have in the background that was unbeknownst to me at the time. I also connect with this number 5 psychic developments card. So this 2 and 3, we have 5 psychic development and what looks like a swan here. In that, for me, it's mainly through dreams. There are other things, other abilities as well, which of course be careful of sharing and stating what your abilities are. But there are things that I, in the past, as a child growing up, psychically was aware of, communicated to trusted adults. And it was not shunned for me in particular, but it was definitely just pushed to the side like, oh, you realize that you notice or aware of or consents or whatever. Sorry, I had some candles blowing and I wanted to blow them out because they were getting low and I did not want them to get unsafe while conducting the reading. But a psychic development that I have that I stopped using, I became aware of at the end of my marriage. And actually, for the first time in years, probably in 20 years, had spoken it up. And he warned me to not do that. And it was the way he said it, like, don't do that. You know you shouldn't do that. And it was my first time ever telling him that I have that ability. And it was also my first time remembering since being a child, maybe even 8 years old, 8 or 9, that I had that ability. And he said, stop, don't do that. Don't even think about doing that. That's not right. So, psychic development is something I'm looking forward to getting back engaged with and learning about. Things like astral traveling, astral projection. I'm not sure if any of you are aware of Dan Brown, but he has a series of books like the Da Vinci Code, and his most recent book, The Pattern, speaks on the knowledge and the ability to actually astral project, and for people to be able to go into other spaces when their body is pinging at a certain vibrational state, like meditation or relaxation, right at the top of rest, and to go essentially and spy, to hear and to see in on conversations in other places, kind of like psychic soldiers, which are, again, a real thing. These are not made up stories. You can do your research online and learn that various countries' governments have conducted these experiments. A lot of them began way back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, some in the 80s, but these are real phenomena that have been explored and have been tapped into and found to be successful, though most of them have been debunked, because if it's not Christianity, Catholicism based spiritual systems and faith along those lines, that anything outside of that is deemed negative and bad to talk about. But psychic development, I'm definitely looking forward to, with this free time, getting into. Then we have the cowboy card here: frontier, revolver, riding boots, lasso. Definitely feel like a cowboy. My ex-husband's, I don't know if that's sharing too much. I'm never going to share a name, but I will say, in terms of sports teams, if you catch my drift. Um, but frontier, I do feel like I'm on the frontier. I'm at the precipice, the beginning of a situation. I do love guns. I have quite many myself. I don't have a revolver, but I think that's pretty cool. Riding boots, I love me some horses. In the future, to have a barn and definitely have some horses to ride, ideal, pinnacle, top of the list of things. Where it says here, blessed by fire. I mentioned this in the last reading. I love fire. Goodness. Candle, fireplace. I love it. I want a gas stove so bad. But it says, looking back, you can acknowledge that every trial was an initiation. You are not cursed. You are blessed by fire. I agree with this. And that could either be a falcon or a hawk. I know, or I believe, that hawks are bigger than falcons. But yes, as I look back over the many experiences of my life, elementary, middle, high school, college, post college, professional working career, it is time for me to acknowledge that anything that I could consider a trial, anything that we can consider a trial, was an initiation into an opportunity to use courage, an opportunity to influence our internal narrative as far as what we will and will not tolerate. It was an initiation into opportunities to decide, will you go with the influence of the crowd? Because you have to be influenced to have an addiction. You must first see it and be exposed to it. Will you pick up an addiction or let it go? Will you tap into your psychic abilities and your ability to sense things beyond the physical realm and be on the front lines, be on the frontier as a cowboy, and know that all of these experiences are initiating you? You're not cursed because of anything that is deemed bad. You are simply being initiated. So I really resonate with this card. And then we have here the Knight of Cups. So I connect with this in terms of I am moving forward with a new cup of love. First, for myself, I have to get over still some body dysmorphia that was trained into me, a desire for a certain type of physical aesthetic that I am not genetically with, I guess we can put it that way. And this is the 12 cards. We do have a 1 and a 2 out here, but I am moving forward. I love on this card how the knight has the sword in this hand and the cup in that hand. So that I resonate a lot with, in that I am quick to cut off any mindsets, any person, and when fiscally ready, any situation that does not serve my highest good, me being able to balance while moving forward my cup of love for self and cup of love for others. So I'm tapped in with this Knight of Cups card, and maybe some of you are too. Like, we're not a page, we're a knight. We're on that horse. We're ready to get moving forward. We're grateful for our experiences, the things that we have chosen to cut out or to keep. And not only are we holding our sword, but we've also got this cup right here in front of us that we are steadily taking our love for self into our next encounters. And then there is narcissism. Lord have mercy. It says narcissistic tendencies show up as superiority, rigid thinking, or intolerance for opposition. This card in the reverse means bully, self-centered. It is the King of Wands. So holding myself accountable, I have rigid thinking as it pertains to when I create a plan, and then I create a plan B and plan C and plan D and plan E, because that's how I am as a Virgo. Whichever plan fits best for the circumstance and the moment is the plan that I begin with. I'm okay with adjusting, but we're definitely going to decide on a plan and move in that direction. And I do not tolerate any communication with anyone now who will cause me to deviate from my plan. My original plan fiscally, and I talked about this in the last message, was to be done paying off all of my debt that I karmically incurred from my marriage in 2 to 3 years. Well, it is year 3, y'all. We separated in 2023. It is 2026 right now. And I am still working on paying off that debt. And that disappoints me. But I have had to be flexible and not have rigid thinking and adjust the plans, because it's only as a result of my actions, though other parties were at play, but my choices, my actions on why this goal that could have been accomplished is not accomplished right now. Now, in terms of interactions with others, like I mentioned, interactions with others in the addiction card, I have noticed these last 3 years the matriarchal, narcissistic strain from the family that I come from, or that I'm told that I come from. And I say that in a particular way as well. Maybe we'll dive into that in another message. But my grandmother on my mother's side, so my mother's mom, strong narcissistic tendencies, runs everything, runs everybody. Being the child of a narcissist, my mother, those tendencies, seeing the success of the manipulation tactics, I have noticed, especially not depending on her, needing her, and specific comments that she has said, that the narcissistic tendencies are there with her as well. And of course, I think I have said this in the past, but my ex-husband, complete casebook of a version of a unhealthy and masculine energy and feminine energy narcissistic male. He was also is also a Capricorn. So you do the math on that. Early January Capricorn, I will say. But dealing with narcissistic people is something that I have had a lot of experience with, and am constantly checking myself to not be, and especially moving forward, to not, how do I say this, embody, possess, or portray. Like, I'm hyper aware now that, since this is something I've dealt with a grandmother and with a mother and other family members and ex-husband, like, I've had so much close contact, I'm hyper vigilant, hyper aware of, like, it's best for me to potentially stay in my hermit mode, solitude, until I'm aware that the shadow side of this part of me has been unpacked well enough to be out in the open, if that makes any sense. All right, now let's do this bottom row. And I'm just looking for any other synchronicities up here, and nope, I don't see any. All right, so countryside. Yes, I desire to reside in the countryside. As a reader, this card coming out, I love to read. I would love to have the opportunity to read, to truly just wake up, go for my walk my four-legged companion, potentially with the spouse, come back in, have some tea, do some yoga or some Wing Chun, or some Tai Chi, shower, get dressed, do some journaling, some silent sitting meditation, get a reading or two done for the day, and then just have time to read and be in and about community, in the garden, painting. That is idealistic life for me. That is the future I see for me. I engage with knowledge and the opportunity to learn from others' experiences as a way of exploring information that could be valuable somewhere else in the future. I love that. Singing, I did not connect with this card originally. Anytime I've seen it or it's come out in the past, I've been like, nothing of singing resonates with me. I was in the choir growing up in the Southern Baptist church that I grew up in. But singing praises and performance, not anything I particularly connect with. Again, I'm not performing here. I'm simply speaking, being an orator. I am sharing information from where my soul feels the information I'm receiving is coming from. So if there be any praise, it is wherever it is at. This next card is Letting Go 43. Wow. So yes, definitely I resonate with this. 4 plus 3 is 7. And of course, if we add one of these ones plus the 6, we do have the 7 out here. But I am in the process of detachment, letting go, having the courage to sit with myself and see, what role did I play? Why do I not have enough time to read? Why am I choosing not to sing praises to the old Lord that I used to believe in? Why am I like free from all addictions? Why, like, letting go of every aspect of my identity and completely surrendering what identity is to be rebuilt from the inside out. That is where I am at, which is why it's very interesting that it falls beside Gold Digger, It says opportunistic greed, exploitation, and selfness. Now, this interestingly comes to mind because on my YouTube social media feed the other day, there was a video of a white man who had bought a dead town out in California, I believe it was. That used to be a mining town. Literally bought the whole town in the valley and the valley, and is slowly rebuilding it. So rebuilding the hotel so that it could be like a tourist attraction, rebuilding the theater. He took the main guy who took the town, created the town, his home as his home. There's a over 900-foot drop mine shaft, and he's found things down in there. But when I see Gold Digger, that video popped up because there is an opportunity in a dead space, in a dead place, where life once was, to be revived by someone who's willing to go out into that solitude, that solitary place, and build alone, and build while it's not being glorified, and build while it's not seen, and still be willing to receive visitors to come in, whether it be to support or just to see the attraction and the vision of the attraction that will one day be. But it's truly a moment of building in order to hope to receive. That aspect of this message began thinking about the mining and the digging. I connect with. Also gold. I love gold. Gold is my favorite metal. I love gold over silver any and every day of the week. I used to never wear silver. Anything that resembled the color of silver, not even rose gold. Don't like rose gold. Just only gold, and not big and gaudy. Just simple, small, thin. That even reminds me of my ideal wedding band. I wanted so much to have a simple, thin, small gold wedding band. That's all I've wanted. If I'm on the opposite side of this, being honest, it's either gaudy and big, square, simple diamond cut, or oval maybe. But again, nice size, or the piece that surpasses all understanding was always a simple gold band. And I pleaded with my ex-husband for the wedding band to be a simple gold band, just simple and small. Found so many, and he refused. It could be anything but that, and ended up getting, I forget what that metal is called, but black bands. But I am not exploiting anyone. If anything, I am exploiting myself and figuring out how I have exploited myself and worked myself to the bone, to the core. Selfish, yes, I am right now. I am blocking all others out that are not supportive of the vision of getting out of debt, ensuring that there is health to keep on going, to keep on working. Greed, no greed whatsoever. I don't have the resources for greed. And then opportunistic, I am taking this opportunity to be thankful that I am not with child and not with spouse and not with a responsibility to anyone, but to self. So that is my connection with the Gold Digger card. Next here, it says avoiding pain. And I definitely can connect with this. It looks like a moth, and it has a knife down coming from its core. It says, you've been sedating your soul with distractions and denial, but deep healing demands presence, not escape. I definitely and deeply connect with that. Presence is what sticks out to me a lot on this card, focusing on the present. So when I think, I'm always cautious to not think about the past unless it's corrective history in terms of what should I have done, what would the most healed version of me have done in that moment, or should have done in that moment, and then forgiving myself for not having that reaction and moving on. But I'm even always cautious even more now, because to think about being in the past I question, does that mean that my present energy is wanting more of that past energy? If that makes sense. So if I think about the past, am I pinging, resonating my current energy at desiring another moment to be in the emotional state, the mental state, like what the past is? And in order not to create that, stay present. That has been my charge to myself. What are my distractions right now? My distractions are work. Someone could say, and I heard this pop up in my head, tarot, taking time away from when I could be reading to get on YouTube and to conduct a reading. And what am I in denial about? Well, I'm brutally honest. So there's only denial of do or was, do I want love and companionship? Yes. But deep healing demands presence, not escape. So I'm not escaping. I'm completely aware of the now, where the past was, and focusing so much on the now that it does, the actions from now do create a better future. And then next we have here the Two of Wands. And I've heard so many times other tarot readers summarize this card again: hand on one wand, another wand standing up completely on its own. The other hand is holding the world and looking out. And we have a two here. And of course, the two is on the table. I am looking out, ready to let go of the foundation of the stability that I have created and curated here. Okay, okay. I'm ready. I've always honestly been ready. I actually hoped immediately after the divorce was finalized that I could leave, and saw opportunities. We're seeing signs and synchronicities on license plates, because I, for a stint of time, drove for Lyft to try to have money and part-time job and for summer employment. But I would see so many different states on tags specifically, and would think that that's where I'm called to. And I just know leaving here has been such a pull and a tug on my heart. And I'm just now noticing the 12 and the 2. So 1 and 2, 12, the synchronicity is out here. And then finally, procrastination. So 2 reversals here. Avoiding your duties only delays the inevitable. Delegation or taking on less may ease stress. 10 of Wands means delegation and avoidance. This I definitely can see how I am correcting in order to not resonate with. That's what I'm going to say. And I say this because I've been avoiding by providing myself with comforts since leaving him in the last 3 years, really knuckling down and saving up the funds to pay this debt off. That's me being honest. When I first started out, like I said, all I had was clothes and books. And my next purchase was just a mattress and sheets. And that was me and the apartment that I had initially. Then it went from mattress on the floor to let's get a bed frame. We don't want to be on the floor where there could be roaches or silver slidey creepy crawly things at night. And then it was let's get a pot or a pan and some utensils instead of using plasticware. And then it was, you have so many books, let's get a bookshelf. And then it was, you know, you're overweight, let's get some workout equipment. And then it was, well, let's get, and then it was, and then it was, and then it was, over these 3 years have added up to having now a couch and bookshelves and tables, and of course tarot decks and mirrors and curtains and hangers, and having a residence that is actually a residence, but no one ever comes, and I don't invite anyone to come. I've actually moved 3 times so that I could clear the energy of a few who I thought were trusted coworkers who came over so that I could clear their energy. Like I couldn't get rid of the funk after they were there. So I had to move literally in order to get out of the energy in that space. And including having family members come, there was always a 4 to 6 month lull of just unproductivity. But I'm not procrastinating anymore. All of the haves I have now. So there are no delays. What is inevitable is all these debts being paid off. I have delegated my budget at the top of this school year for me to be able to know how much is left over and how much is being saved and the payoffs that will occur at different month markers. And less may be more, or it says less may ease stress. I'm deciding also this year no part-time jobs. This is the first year where I'm choosing to not have a part-time job. I've worked in hospices part-time. I've worked with Walmart overnight stocking. I mentioned how I drove for Lyft. I've worked at the YMCA. I've had several part-time jobs. And even with the part-time jobs and my income, everything is not paid off. Of the 9 debts, 4 are paid off, but I still have, or I think it's 5 have been paid off, but I still have hold on, let me think about it. What is it? I know that one. Okay. Yes, so there are 4 left of the 9 for me to pay off, and I'm not procrastinating. There's no more halves. I have my work wardrobe, have my workout clothes, an area to do the tarot readings, the bed, the pillow, the mattress, the food. It's all here. Everything that was a want previously, there are no more comforts wants. Now it's just time to get moving forward. All right, so I feel like for some reason I want to pull one more card of a few. I want to pull one more tarot card. And I was just going to take the card that was on top, but for some reason I want to do you all complete justice and make sure I do this on top here. Okay, let's see what comes out as our final messages. So here we have authority. The divine masculine protects and provides. He embodies wisdom, or I prefer to say wise dominion, order, and service to others. This is the Emperor card. Organization, protection, and regulation. So I definitely feel being in this energy of organizing life. Yes. Making sure I keep my head on the swivel because my form of transportation is my legs. So keep myself hyper vigilant to protect myself and regulating my emotions and staying calm. This is super important to me. And knowing that this too shall pass, I will have paid off my debt. I will have had the fortuitous abundance to be able to have transportation and to move. And I will be on. All right, this next card is the Queen of Swords 13. So definitely resonate with this as well. Cutting out everything that needs to be cut out. Why? Because there are things that do not fit in my life. And those people, those conversations, those places, I am completely intellectually capable of letting those things go. And I'm so happy about that. Next card we have here is 10 burden. So yes, anything that's a burden, just talked about cutting out. This final confirmation right here, those things, the burdens have to be let go of. They have to be let go of, and they are. And then the final ones that I want to pull from, and I'm just going to split these decks instead of shuffling them. Okay. Here we go. Is loss of control. I think this came out in the last reading. I was supposed to put this card away. I apologize for doing that. Let me break this again. Okay, here we go. Immortality, resurrection, sublimation, piety, and infinity. I definitely resonate with this card, so much so I cannot tell you how much. And then there is the flirt, seduce, lover, and lust. I'm looking forward to an opportunity to, just calmly, graciously, lightheartedly have a person of interest where that's something down the line that we enjoy doing with each other. Having a lover for sure. Not so much the seducing and lust part. But thank you all so much for hearing these messages, aspects of my story. And I look forward to catching you all in another one. Good times.